All right. Hello, everybody. We are going to talk about time today. So go back to Google Classroom, find out which page that is supposed to be in, fill out your table of contents, get the page number on there. Go ahead and look back, make sure table of contents is good for everything you've done so far. Make sure you've gotten page numbers on everything. That is really easy to skip. And once you are ready, we will go. So, time, the first thing I want you to write down on here is this question: ¿Qué hora es? There should be an upside down question mark there. I'm not going to take the time to find that. And there should be an accent on this E right here. So, upside down question mark there, accent on the E. ¿Qué hora es? And that means literally, what hour is it? But that's how we say what time is it. So write that down first. The response to this question is going to be one of two things: es la or son las. You use es la if it is 1 o'clock. So if it is 1 o'clock, es la una is the answer. That means it's 1 o'clock. The reason you do that is because 1 is singular. We've learned the verb ser. It is es. They are is son. So if it is any other hour, son las dos, it's 2 o'clock. Son las tres, it's 3 o'clock. Son las cuatro, it's 4 o'clock. So you just change that hour based on the time. So write that down in your interactive notebook. Es la una, it's 1 o'clock. Son las dos through doce, it's 2 o'clock through 12 o'clock. So if you want to say it's 8 o'clock, son las ocho. So that is how you do if it is on the hour. Now let's move on to, well, what if it's, 8:04? To add minutes, you're going to say your phrase, es la una, or son las dos, or whatever. And then you're going to say, I'm going to use like son las dos, for example. And then we are going to add E and then the number of minutes. So if it is 2:05, I'm going to go with son las dos. And then the E kind of takes the place of those little dots there. So son las dos, E. And then how do you say 5 in Spanish? Cinco. Son las dos y cinco. If it is 4:10, pause the video, think about that for a second. To say it's 4:10, you're going to deal with the hour first. So you have to say, is it es la or son las? Since it's not 1, I'm going with son las. So son las cuatro. And then for the dots, we say E. And then the minutes, diez. Son las cuatro y diez. So that's the basics. Now, if you want to say 15 after or 30 after, so that's like a quarter after and half past. So if it is 15 minutes after, you can say y quince, that's fine, but I want you to also be aware of y cuarto. That's like saying it's a quarter after. Now we'll pause and talk about that for a second. I always get people who say, well, but a quarter's 25, right? Well, yeah, if you're talking about money, but a quarter is a fourth. So a fourth of an hour is 15 minutes. That's why it's a quarter after. So that's one of your vocab things. If it is half past, so it's 3:30 or something, you can say y 30, and that is fine. I will accept that. But I also want you to be aware of y media. And I'll go ahead and tell you, in your voces practice, I am pretty sure they want you to use cuarto and media. And I think that that is a really good idea to use those as practice, just because it gets you used to that extra vocabulary. So those are a couple of extra vocab things, y cuarto and y media. So if it is 1:30, pause the video, try that out. You've got to say, okay, es la or son las. Since we're saying one, we're going to go with es la. So es la, and we don't say uno, we say una, because the hour, hora, is feminine. So es la una y media. Es la 1:30 is fine. Voces wants you to practice y media. A couple of other vocab things. If you wanted to say 12 o'clock, yes, you can say son las 12. That's fine. But there's an easier way to do this. If it's 12 a.m., that's midnight, or 12 p.m., which is noon. There are a couple of additional vocab words here. You say es media noche, es media noche. And that literally means media or medio is half or middle or mid in this case, and noche we've seen means night. So that's literally, it's midnight. And then for 12 p.m., which is noon, very similar thing, es mediodía. There should be an accent on this last D here, mediodía. And that's again, mid, medio, and dia, day. If you're a detail person, you may have noticed media versus medio. That's because noche is feminine, media, dia, even though it looks feminine, it's masculine, so we go with medio. So medianoche and mediodía. I believe your ebook is going to want you to use those two words. If it counts it wrong, maybe try doce. So those are some extra things. Let's see. Other vocabulary that would go along with this. Let's talk about AM and PM. So for AM and PM, AM and PM. For AM, you tag this to the end of your time, de la mañana. This is actually an ñe. I just don't want to take 15 minutes to try to find it while you guys are waiting on me. So that's an ñe. Put that little squiggly line over it, de la mañana. So if I want to say it's 3 a.m., think about that for a second. We're going to go back. It's not 1, so we're going with son las. Son las 3 de la mañana. Make sure you get that ñe there. Mañana, not manana. Mañana. PM, you have 2 options here. De la tarde and de la noche. Tarde, we've seen, means afternoon. So if it's in the afternoon, go with tarde. Noche means night. So if it's at night, you'll go with de la noche. So if we want to say it's 5 p.m., that's more tarde. So we'll go with son las 5 de la tarde. If you want to say it's 10 p.m., sun is down, that's definitely noche, so we will go with son las 10 de la noche. So that's some extra vocabulary. If you're with me so far, you've pretty well got what you need just to make it through. But there is more to it. If it is after 1/2 past, What I mean by that is the minute hand has passed the 6. Then this can apply. If I want to say it's 8:45 p.m., I can go through the whole process there. Son las 8:45 de la noche. I can go through that whole phrase, but think about another way to say that in English. I don't typically say it's 8:45. I normally, in everyday usage, I'll say it's 8:45. So it's 8:45. That's kind of my thinking there. So if you want to say it's 8:45, here's what you do. You actually go ahead and say it's 9 o'clock minus, oh, what did I do? It's 9 o'clock minus 15 minutes, because that's what 8:45 is. So what we will actually do there is go ahead and say it's 9 o'clock. So son las 9. And then the word for minus is menos. And then for 15, remember you can say 15, and that's fine. Oh, and de la noche, because I included PM there. Or something that would be better to practice is saying 1/4 till instead of 15 till. So menos cuarto is the other way to say that. So let's try one. Let's say it is 3:50 a.m. Pause the video, try that out. Once you've tried that, your thought process is it's 4 o'clock minus 10 minutes. And if you have trouble getting to that thought process, start actually talking about time in English this way, and that will make that step easier on you in Spanish. So if we're going to say it's 4 o'clock minus 10 minutes, go back to what we learned at the beginning, es la or son las. We're saying it's 4 o'clock. So we're going with son las because it's not 1. So son las, we're saying it's 4 o'clock. So son las 4, and then minus menos 10, 10. And then the AM, de la mañana. That first N really should be an anye. All right. Let's practice some times using menos. 2:55 p.m. Try those 3 times out. If you haven't paused the video to try them, do that now. Okay, so for 2:55 p.m., another way to say that in English is it's 5 till 3, which really is saying it's 3 o'clock minus 5 minutes. So that's what we're thinking. So es la or son las, we're saying it's 3 o'clock. So it's not 1, so we are going to say son las 3. The minus is menos, and 5 is 5. And it's PM. If it's almost 3 o'clock, that's afternoon. So we're going with de la tarde. If it's 12:50 a.m., this is really the trickiest. Actually, I'm going to come back to that. We're going to save it for last. That's the hard one. So 11:40 p.m. Your thought process here was it's 12 o'clock minus 20 minutes. It's 20 till 12. 12 o'clock minus 20. So again, es la or son las. We're not saying 1 o'clock. We're saying 12. So son las 12, and then menos 20, 20. PM, if it's 12, it's almost, let's see, 11:40 p.m. That's actually almost 12 a.m. But 11:40 p.m. is definitely nighttime. So we're going with de la noche. So that was a little bit tricky there. Now for the hard one, 12:50 a.m. Your thought process is it's 1 o'clock minus 10 minutes. Now this is the thing that's tricky. Am I going to go with es la or son las? We know that we say es la for one and we say son las for the other times. So it's 12, but I'm really going to say it's 1. So you're going to go with what you're actually saying. So we're saying it's 1, so we're going to go with es la una. Anytime you're saying una, go with es la. So es la una menos 10. Oh, and I forgot my AM. If it's 12:50 a.m. de la mañana, make sure that that N is actually an N. So that is your explanation on time. Don't forget YouTube is your friend. Time takes a lot of practice. So use your notes. Make sure you've got this information in your interactive notebook. Practice makes perfect eventually, but it takes a lot of practice to get there. All right. So Mrs. Oliveros will be here next week. Hang in there. She can help you with all this stuff. But in the meantime, go ahead, get a bunch of practice in with this.